Tell me, O Muse, of that ingenious hero, the wanderer, harried for years on end, who traveled far and wide after he had sacked the famous town of Troy. Many cities did he visit, many towns did he see, and many distant lands did he learn of. There he learned the minds of many men, and the customs of nations whose manners he was not yet acquainted with. Moreover, he suffered greatly by sea, weathering many brined and bitter nights and days. Sorrow lived inside his heart out on the deep, as he struggled to save his own life and bring his men home safely. But do what he might, he could not save his men. Not by will nor valor could he save them, for they perished through their own sheer folly. Their own recklessness destroyed them when they ate the cattle of the sun god Helios. So the sun god Helios, who moves all day through heaven, prevented them from ever reaching home, and took from their eyes the glorious sight of their return.
I am Odysseus, son of Laertes, a raider of cities, skilled in all ways of contending, known amongst all men for guile in peace and in war. My reputation has crossed the skies and has been heard on Olympus. My home is Ithaca, a rugged island lying low in the sea, yet renowned for brave men. I have known no companions more loyal than mine. Before Troy, I had already learned how an oath could bind men tighter than loyalty. Promises spoken before the gods can pull harder than friendship, duty, or love. In Sparta, kings and princes gathered for Helen, a woman with a face that launched 1,000 ships. King Tyndareus, Helen's father, feared what would happen when one suitor was chosen and the rest were refused. So I made an offer and oaths were made. The oath of Tyndareus prevented bloodshed amongst the suitors. In return, King Tyndareus stood for my suit, and fair and wise Penelope was mine. When Helen was taken, the oath brought messengers to Ithaca and called for my ships and my sword. But my heart clung to home, to my Penelope, and to my infant son Telemachus, and sought to refuse the call to Troy. Athena inspired my guile. I appeared mad when the messengers arrived. I yoked uneven beasts to the plow and drove it across the land, sowing salt where seed should fall. But Zeus revealed my ruse, for the oath was sacred. The men tested me by placing my infant son Telemachus in the path of my plow. I was exposed, and there was no escape from the oath or Troy. After the Trojan War, we sailed towards home, driven on across the wine-dark sea. And first we came to Ismarus, the city of the Cicones. There we sacked the town and put the people to the sword. We took their wives and much treasure, dividing the booty amongst us, and yet my men would not listen when I urged them to depart at once. They lingered, drank wine, and slaughtered cattle on the shore without sacrifice. They were blind to their own recklessness, as it always happens. Blind to what the Cicones would do in return. The Cicones gathered in strength, calling in their inland neighbors, fighters who were skilled in war. At dawn, the Cicones and their companions fell upon us, storming our lines, and many men were slain. 6 men from each ship. Before long, we broke away and fled back to the sea, harried and diminished, leaving our dead behind us. Then Zeus, the lord of cloud and thunder, raised against us a great gale of wind, so that land and sky were hidden together, and night came down from the heavens. For 9 days we were driven, harried by foul winds, our ships tempest-tossed helplessly over the wine-dark sea. On the 10th day we reached the land of the lotus eaters, who live on a flowering food that dulls the pains of the heart. We went ashore to take in water, and some of my men tasted the lotus. Those who ate it lost all desire to return home. They wished only to remain, forgetting their wives and their sorrow, feasting forever on the tantalizing lotus flowers. They wept when I forced them back to the ships. I bound them fast with chains beneath the benches and commanded the others to embark at once, lest any more should taste the lotus and abandon our hope for home. So, thankfully, they remembered their places at the oars, struck the wine-dark sea with steady strokes, and we rowed out again in search of seafaring wind, leaving our forgetfulness behind us. In the next land we came to, we found the Cyclopes, a lawless people who trusted only in the gods, neither planting nor plowing in each other's company, but living each as lord in his own household, taking no thought for his neighbor. Off their coast lay a wooded island, rich with wild goats and fresh water, untouched by human hands. There we rested for a time, feasting on meat and wine. Yet my heart was drawn to the mainland opposite. At dawn, I chose 12 men and crossed to the shore of the Cyclopes, seeking to learn whether the people were savage and uncivilized or hospitable and humane. We came to a vast cave near the sea, shaded with laurels, filled with pens of sheep and goats and racks heavy with cheese. My men urged me to take what we could and flee, but I would not listen. I was hoping to see the owner of the cave and receive the gifts of his hospitality. When the Cyclops returned at dusk, bearing a mighty load of wood, he shut the cave with a stone so great that many teams of horses could not have moved it. He lit his fire, milked his flocks, and then seized 2 of my companions, smashed them against the cave wall, and devoured them, flesh and bone together. We lifted our hands to Zeus in terror, but there was no escape, no answer to our prayers. And what could we do? We survived that night with our precious lives, while lamenting our dear friends. At dawn, the Cyclops drove his flocks from the cave by rolling back the great stone, then set it fast again. When he returned later that evening, he seized 2 more of my men and made his savage meal. Overwhelmed with despair, my heart turned to iron as I planned. Athena presented me a great olive staff, which we sharpened into a stake and tempered in the fire. When the Cyclops had eaten and drunk his fill of wine, he asked,
"Mortal, what is your name?"
"Me? I'm nobody." Then sleep overcame him, and my plan went to work. And we drove the stake into his single eye, boring it deep as a shipwright bores the mast into the hull. In agony, he roared and called to the other Cyclopes for help. When they asked who harmed him,
"Nobody did. Nobody harmed me."
and thinking him mad, they went away. At dawn, he rolled back the stone once more, sat in the doorway, and felt the backs of his sheep as they passed. By Athena's grace, we bound ourselves beneath the rams, and so we escaped the grasp of the blind Cyclops. We scattered as he raged behind us. We ran to the ship, cut our costly moorings, and struck the oars against the wine-dark sea, fleeing with all the speed our arms could bring, bearing away our grief and losses. When we were far enough from shore and I knew I would be heard, I could hold my tongue no more. I shouted my true name and lineage and boasted of the deed we had done. My men begged me to stop, fearing the wrath of the gods that would follow. But my hubris threw caution to the wind. Then the Cyclops tore a great rock from the cliff, fumbled it, and then hurled it after us. It fell just short of the ship, but the sea surged beneath it, pulling us back toward the land. Redoubling our efforts, we once again rowed clear, and once more, I shouted. Outraged, the Cyclops lifted his fist to the sea and prayed to Poseidon, his father, Lord of the Sea, that I might never reach my home.
"If he must reach home, Father, let him come late and in misery. May he lose all his companions and find trouble in his house."
So he spoke, and all the gods heard his prayer.